Rationalizing Meat Consumption and Appetite, Volume 65, 2015. A brief biography for the authors and a link to the full text of the paper is provided in the description. The Meat Paradox. Moral conflict over behavior that harms animals, coupled with an enjoyment of meat as food. This paradox is typically resolved via two main routes. The first is rejection of meat consumption, in which behaviors are brought into alignment with moral ideals. The second is psychological maneuvering, which brings beliefs and attitudes into alignment with behavior. The researchers focus on the second, and the 5 studies described in the paper seek to better understand the extent and predictive ability of these psychological maneuvers. Among the different types of psychological maneuvering, the researchers are interested in the rationalized justifications given for meat eating. Drawing from and expanding on the work of another researcher, they categorize justifications to preserve meat eating commitment into the so-called 4 N's of natural, normal, necessary, and nice. That is, people who eat meat justify their dietary decisions by arguing that meat eating is natural, normal, necessary, and or nice for humans. First, to determine the accuracy of the 4 N's in describing meat-eating justifications, the researchers conducted 2 surveys with 2 different groups of people. For the participants who didn't reveal themselves as vegetarian or vegan, the survey asked, "Please give 3 reasons why you think it is okay to eat meat." In the 2 surveys, the 4 N's accounted for over 85% of the total justifications given. Thus, the 4 N's did well in encapsulating the majority of meat-eating justifications. Second, to determine whether endorsement of the 4 N's correlated with moral concern for animals, mind attribution to animals, and social dominance orientation, the researchers conducted another survey with students at the University of Melbourne, Australia. Responses came from 171 students, consisting of 73 omnivores, 40 restricted omnivores, and 58 vegetarians and vegans. As expected, endorsement of the 4 N's was highest for omnivores and lowest for vegetarians and vegans, with restricted omnivores in the middle. In addition, the circles of concern, i.e., the number of species that an individual considers worthy of their moral concern, were smallest for omnivores and largest for vegetarians and vegans, with restricted omnivores again in the middle. Results are similar for mind attribution to animals. Third, to determine whether the 4 N scale aligned with another scale, called the Meat-Eating Justification or MEJ scale, the researchers recruited participants from Amazon Mechanical Turk. The MEJ scale has a direct subscale and an indirect subscale. Direct subscale defines direct psychological strategies for meat eating, including denial of animal suffering, pro-meat appeals, and explicit endorsements of various justifications. Focus was on the relationship between the 4 N scale and the MEJ direct subscale. 2 questionnaires and the 2 scales were used. Surveys found moderate to high correlation of the 4 N scale with all of the MEJ direct subscales. A gender-based sub-evaluation found that men had a higher score on the MEJ than women. Fourth, to determine the role of 4 N endorsement in dietary and lifestyle practices, the researchers used Amazon Mechanical Turk again to recruit 215 participants for a 20-minute survey. The survey sought to measure one's commitment to restriction of animal products, pride, guilt, and discomfort regarding current animal product decisions, moral self-regard in making these decisions, level of animal welfare advocacy, and level of speciesism. Analysis revealed negative correlation between 4 N endorsement and animal welfare advocacy and product restriction, pride in animal product decisions, and moral self-regard derived from these decisions. For omnivores, there was also a negative correlation with guilt, suggesting the success of the 4 N's in justifying meat eating to oneself. Analysis also revealed the 4 N endorsement was positively correlated with speciesism, though only moderately. Finally, to determine the relationship between 4 N endorsement and actual meat consumption, the researchers turned back to Mechanical Turk. Each participant was given a 16-item 4 N scale, a dietary questionnaire, a 7-item meat commitment scale, and a basic demographics questionnaire. The surveys found that the 4-4N subscales were positively predictive of meat eating commitment, with necessary the most reliable correlation. The researchers concluded by summarizing their findings and the implications for omnivore vegetarian discourse. They also argue for the superiority of the 4N scale over the meat-eating justification scale on the basis of having greater representation of real-world justifications, greater internal coherence, and conceptual and empirical parsimony. Read the full 4N scale at the link on the screen.